Hey YouTube. Um, Today is, I don't know, 7 or 8 on the Challenger, and my friend Josh was here messing with stuff on the one day with me a few days ago, helped me put on this new eBay carburetor. It was pretty much an exact replacement. Had to jerry rig the choke lever there a little bit. Today I'm going to attempt to replace the starter, install torque converter bolts, because we learned that there was no bolts in the torque converter to the flex plate, and a new starting relay and new battery cables for the car, and we're going to see if we can try and crank on it today. So I'm going to try to film as much as I can. I'm not going to talk that much. We'll see how this goes. Got the new cable, new positive cable roughed in here. We're going to try and pull this old relay out and wire in the new cables into the new relay and try not to break any of the rest of that stuff. See how that goes. Previously soaked all this in creeping oil 2 or 3 times mostly. Every nut and bolt we could find in this car has been soaked. So it's either gonna break, strip out, or it's gonna come out like it's supposed to. Sure I get these on the right side. I don't think it's polarity sensitive, but it might be. I think this goes here, but I am not 100% on that. It says fusible link. use this junk anymore. I'm shocked the new relay didn't come with a new nut, so we're going to use the old nut and hope it works. So that was like that. The fusible link was on top. And I just broke the fusible link. Imagine that. Son of a gun. Luckily I came prepared for that. I have a whole new set. With the chopper. I'd like to think I'll remember that this is a fusible link, but I probably won't. You can see that. I'm going to put a new connector on here and use a proper crimping tool, which looks like this. It's got cutters at the end, but proper crimping tools have this jaw in here for smashing these connectors properly. Using a pair of needle nose or vice grips is not going to be enough leverage to crush this in properly. Give it a pull test. Yep. Tighten this up there this time and try not to break the connector like I did a minute ago. Cool. And then this thing goes in there. I think. Like so. We're gonna tighten that up. Okie doke. I'm gonna put these rusty old bolts back in there. I had no idea if the other relay was bad, but it did say Chrysler on it, so my guess it is the original part, and that means it's almost 50 years old. So we went ahead and got one from the AutoZone that's probably made in China and won't last but a week or two. Any tighter than that, I think I'm gonna snap it off in the car. So that is good enough for now. These electrical connections are not great. I might have to replace those. The other end is gonna go on the starter, but I can't put it on the starter up here and fish it down to the car. So I'm gonna have to wire it to the starter while underneath the car. I'll take you guys down there with me in just a minute. I got here is new starter bolt. Apparently one is a stud and one is a bolt, and one side of the stud is fine thread and one is coarse thread, and my guess is the coarse thread goes into the transmission, but I'm not sure. And then I got these torque converter bolts, and I've heard they're not going to be easily to install since the flex plate and the torque converter are not currently lined up. So I'm going to take you guys under the car in a minute. battery died. We got 2 of the bolts in. We rotate the engine and they hit. I am not sure why. It says on the package they're for Mopar torque converter bolts. The heads are slightly skinnier than I would have guessed. I'm gonna take them all out. I don't know. They're kind of sandwiched together. I'm not sure how to move the flex plate without moving the torque converter. When I turn the engine over, they move together. And I'm not sure how to get them to not do that. Just not sure here. No idea if I'm breaking something in here. Or how I'm going to get that to go back on once this is all the way. Why am I not using a hammer? Because I'm underneath the car with no hammer. So now, if I move this all the way around to there, we could try it again. I don't know why. Maybe it shouldn't be that stiff. I don't know. Just put the car in neutral. I have no idea if that'll help. That did not help. Let's hope I don't have to go any more holes past this one. This sucks. Maybe if I get out from under the car, I'll get a hammer. wrench is probably never going to work again. So, these are supposedly Mopar official torque converter bolts, and they are not supposed to hit. And the second I put them in, they hit. Let's try it without the washer. I don't know if that's gonna make the difference. Not good. Not good at all. Something I'm noticing under here is those block plugs, freeze plugs. They look like nothing I have ever seen. I'm gonna have to Google what that is. Has anyone else seen those? That does not look like a hammered in brass plug to me. 1, 2. Oh no. That's scary. I already know this engine might be shot, but I was hoping to try to crank on it and see how shot it really is. And we're gonna find out here, I guess, today. Well, without the washers, it seemed to let it go around further than it had a moment ago. But like I was wondering, this hole doesn't line up. This hole here. I mean, it's way off. So you see this? Trying to show y'all the best I can. And I'm just going to hang by the wire. It's probably fine. And I went over in one of my other videos that when I get things like this that are bare metal, I clear coat them to try to protect them, keep them looking nice longer. And you can see some of my clear coat is flaking off here, but we weren't doing it to make it like look show quality, just try and get it to last a little longer. the new battery cable, I bought one on eBay, cheapest one I could find, of course. I bought one on eBay that said it was the proper fit for E-body Challengers and Cudas, that I wouldn't need to make any special ends. And so far, it has been the right length exactly. I mean, an inch shorter it would have not worked, but it is the right length, had all the right connections, and it's going very well. We'll see how long it lasts. Next is, I'm not totally sure. This exhaust pipe is extremely in the way. I don't know if it goes this way. No, it must go this way. It must go this way. You'd think the mini starter would go in a little better, a little smoother, but no dice. There it is. I have no idea which one gets the stud and which one gets the bolt. I'm not sure it matters. I'm probably gonna just guess, and then it'll be wrong, and then I'll have to do it again. I want to put the stud on the top to hold it, hang it there, and I'll put the new bolt in the bottom. That seems very wrong. That on the bottom. It doesn't, neither one of these want to go in. Something's not right here. This, again, says for Mopar starter, for this, for 904 and 727 transmission, but it does not want to go in more than a couple threads. And I'm not sure why. They seem extremely tight, but they are going. It doesn't feel like it's crossing, but it feels like the tolerance on the bolt is just a little too thick. If you can see, I'll show you guys in a minute, this side has those strange freeze plugs too. Not the kind you knock in, and not the factory ones either. It does have writing on it. It says do not use sealer, and it says install dry. So there's some sort of block plug, freeze plug, but not ones like I've ever seen before. And I'm a little nervous about them because I've never seen it before. I don't know if they're good or bad, or what the story is. I may actually crank on this car today. I'm going to first see if the key works in the ignition. If it doesn't, I do have a Lone Wolf 6000, or is it a 9000? I don't know. So with Mopars, you can just use a screwdriver. I don't have a battery though. So either I'll use a jump pack, or I'll go buy a battery. Maybe I'll use a jump pack, see if it even cranks. If it cranks, I'll go buy a battery. Well, I'm sitting here wrenching. Maybe I'll just go over a little bit what we've done to the Challenger so far. As we properly we drilled out the 4 rivets the floor pans had in it when we bought the car, cleaned up the holes a little bit better, used 100 rivets to rivet them back down, and some seam sealer. Went ahead and sprayed the whole inside of the car with spray-on bed liner, and then used the Killmat Stuff brand from Amazon on the floor and the ceiling, about almost 2 layers thick on the floor. I went ahead and got original trunk pan and went and riveted that in as well. We pulled the rear out, sanded the whole thing, or wire wheeled it, used a little bit of rust inhibitor, rust converter stuff, and went ahead and painted the rear, redid the rear brakes, and put on the new drums over top of those brakes. And my friend Josh, while I was messing with something one day, he put on the new carburetor and jerry rigged the little factory temperature choke up there so it would attach to the new mounts. And we're at, today I put in a new starter, new positive battery cable, a new starting relay, new starter bolts, and got ahead and got the torque converter lined up. All right, people. So GoPro's acting up. Don't know what's going on. Going through batteries literally in 15 minutes. So what we got on here is we got our new starting relay, new cable, new mini starter installed. Torque converter bolts are finally lined up and tight. I had to tighten them all the way down to allow the engine to turn around without hitting or dragging the bolts on whatever they drag or bolt on. I've hand cranked this thing over another 4 or 5 times with my 1.25" socket. And now we're going to try and use a jump pack because I don't have a battery here. And we're going to try and start or crank on it with the key. There's a carburetor on here, no fuel. I'm not going to try to pour any fuel in it. We're just going to see if we can crank and build some oil pressure. I'm going to leave the camera running over here and hopefully catch something. All right, let's see what happens here. Well, you hear it cranking that. Jump pack is not fully charged, so that's what's going on. I need to either get a real battery in here or maybe jump it to my work van and try and crank on it that way. But my dash lights did light up. You know, this isn't the greatest ground here, but that was pretty cool. The ignition key did work. It does make this relay here and does try and crank on the starter, but there's not enough juice to turn it over. So give me a minute. We're gonna get enough juice from somewhere. Well, we have a brand new battery in my son's Swinger, which we're doing work to, and there's currently no seats in it or floor pans. So I'm gonna go ahead and steal his EverStart. I don't know, EverStart. We're gonna steal his EverStart. All right, I found that the starter down below wasn't getting a common ground. It was common to the block of the motor, and to the case of the transmission, and to the body, but it was not continuity to this ground connection, this one, or this really crappy one here. So I went ahead and I sanded, it's hard to tell, I sanded and scratched both sides of this and the blue paint off the block. Did the same for this connection, made sure that this, even though it's crunchy, does have connection. And checked it with a meter. We have continuity now from the starter, case, ground, to the block to this bolt, and back to the battery itself. We're going to try this again, see what we can come up with. Can you hear it, people? No oil pressure, but it is cranking. It sounds awfully weak, but it is cranking. I do have the plugs in it. It does smell like something's burning, so that's great. It's probably that new starter. Cable's hot. Cable's not hot. Yeah, cable's not hot. It smells like something's burning. You said I have no fuel hooked to it. I do have oil and ATF hooked to it. I don't know that the oil pressure switch is even hooked up. I don't know what this is that's not hooked up, or what that is that's not hooked up, but it is cranking, and I can't believe it. It's so cool. I guess now it's time to try and juice up the battery a little bit more, and maybe pull the plugs out again and check compression on every cylinder and see if we have anything. This thing's worth attempting to put gas in at some point, but not right now. I thought I heard it trying to bark off, so I poured a little two-stroke down it, and I poured a lot of two-stroke down it, let's be honest. And I want to see if this oil pressure goes up at all. Did you hear it? Alright, keep barking off. Turn the key on. No, I don't want you to give it any gas. None of this stuff is working right. Nothing I do is getting it to do anything but smoke.